Hey everybody, my name is Jim Dietlow, host of JED in America, right here along Indianapolis Boulevard in Hammond, Indiana. We're live on AM 1230 WJOB, and we are live on 104.7 FM, also on the TuneIn app, and then live in video on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Hey, when your business is finally ready for streaming video, we're here for you. We came up with that tagline the other day. I will be heading to Streaming Media East, which is a big conference in New York City, believe it or not. I'm not going to wear this Carhartt coat that I'm wearing right now, but I am headed out to New York City next month to kind of fine-tune some of the business model. I've got a few technical questions, and I've gone to this conference before, and it gets a lot of people together where you just walk up to people and you find out what company they're with. And there's a Wowza guy. Hey, I got a question for you. Oh, there's the Wirecast guy. I got a question for you. There's a Facebook woman. Hey, what about this? And then I'm only going to go for one day. I think it's a 2-day conference. And but let's talk. There's a bunch of stuff going on around America, and I just want to run through it. Barbara Bush is dead at the age of 92. If you watched any television, if you've been listening to any radio or even on podcasts and so forth, much homage to Barbara Bush. She certainly deserves it. She was not only the wife of a president, she was the mother of a president. I don't know if anybody else can say that. Roosevelt, right? Yeah, but she was able to live, and you know, she's just kind of, it wasn't like she was in the background. She just seems like, and this was brought out in a number of interviews. Dan Quayle brought this up, if you remember Dan Quayle. I interviewed Dan Quayle in 1985, and the one thing I can remember about him is that his pants at the bottom had huge belt bottoms. But anyways, he was talking about Barbara Bush just kind of trying to act like, oh, I really don't know what's going on, and just kind of in the background, but he points out that that wasn't the case at all, that she was a very strong woman with some huge resolve, and she was very much a patriot, and she will be missed at the age of 92. What else is going on around everywhere? Just this morning or late last night, it's coming out that Dick's Sporting Goods is going to destroy a whole bunch of assault-type rifles in response to the Parkland shooting. They said that there is a debate going on about, are you going to try to put that up there? Jimmy Mulaney is going to join me here, and he's going to try to get the suction cups to stick. We bought this light that hangs from suction cups, so I don't have to hold it while I'm standing out here freezing my ass off. Don't you wear a coat, by the way? All right, there you go. Get that up there. And turn it a little brighter somehow, too. Eh? And then, so Dick's last month, if you guys remember, I talked about it, and Dick's said they're not going to sell assault rifles anymore. And then all of a sudden, I guess they had a bunch left. They're not saying how many they're going to destroy, but instead of sending them back to the manufacturers, they are going to just chop them up or melt them. And they want to tell everybody what side of that gun debate they're on. And what a gesture, by the way. And what else is going on? Did you guys see any of the video yesterday of the Southwest flight from New York to Dallas? You know what? You know, Alexis and I take Southwest a lot. We got a daughter in New York City, ostensibly flying to and from New York City a lot of times to LaGuardia. The word for LaGuardia, it starts with an S and it ends with hole, but as you may not know, the guy from Munster is the head of the project for a good portion of the rehab. I think it's a $4 billion rehab of LaGuardia, as Walsh Construction has a good portion of that. And Mike Whalen is frequently going out there. So if you have a problem with LaGuardia, now you got somebody local that you could bitch about it to. How's that sound? Anyways, in terms of that flight, they take off from New York City, and about 20 minutes into the flight, the right engine blows in a loud pop, and you can see it, like there's pictures of it, and shrapnel flies and it busts one of the windows on Southwest's, I think, left side. Hey, what's going on? Thanks for beeping. You know what? I'm out here a little later today. Big Chuck, Bud Light, thank you. The Kiernans, a good Hammond business family for many generations. And they bust the window on the right side of the plane, if I remember correctly. And the woman sitting there, you know what, there's not too many descriptions, but I saw one description. Basically, she part of her gets sucked out of the window. If you know anything about this, and this was like the number one fear of, or one of the many fears of pilots in war, and that is that somehow somebody shoots out a window and you get sucked through the window because of the pressure. And evidently that happened, or at least partially happened, to a woman who was sitting right near the window, and she is dead. And one of the guys was on CNN last night, a guy by the name of Martinez, and he described it. He said as soon as the engine blew, everybody kind of felt like, oh, we're going down, we're probably going to die. And he was talking about his colleague, didn't really want to talk to anybody. He's just texting with his pregnant wife, and he had an extreme focus on that as the plane went down. And the Martinez guy, you know, I don't know about you guys, I get these nightmares once in a while. They're not really nightmares, they're just like anxiety-filled sleep. And like, I can't open a door, or I can't make the phone call, and I can't dial the number to get 911, or I can't get on the computer in time to save something. You know, like, it's kind of an interaction with some sort of tool or some sort of electronic device. And he was telling about, as they're going down, they think they're just going to crash and die. He's trying to get more internet, and evidently the internet still worked. And I had his laptop open, and he kept inserting his credit card wrong because he was so flustered. And that is not just an anxiety-filled sleep, that is a nightmare. Ultimately, they left from New York. They were able to land in Philadelphia. The one woman died, and a couple of other injuries, but just a harrowing incident in the skies. All right, what else? Today is now tax day. I don't know if you guys followed it, but the IRS, their website went down yesterday, so they're giving you another day. And if you're just one of those complete procrastinators, you're just getting luckier and luckier. April 18th, I don't know if that's ever been tax day. I guess if, maybe it has, I don't know. It seems like it's really late. I don't remember it ever being that late. Sometimes it's April 15th. Once in a while it's the 16th or 17th, depending on when the weekend falls, but I don't remember it being April 18th. Dick's, Bush, Starbucks. Have you guys been watching this? All right, it's Philadelphia again. I guess they're in the news twice. By the way, it's freezing out here. It's 28 degrees here in the Calumet region, and my hands are just freezing. But I'm not gonna. Well, I am gonna put the gloves on. And Starbucks in Philadelphia. All right, two guys are riding their bikes around. They're black guys. And they come into the Starbucks and they say, "Hey man, can I use the washroom?" And they're like, "No, you got to be customers." And they're like, "All right." So they sit down at the table, and the manager, the white manager, says, "Hey, you got to buy something." And they're sitting there and they're like, "Well, we're waiting for our friend." And so the manager calls the police and says, "I want them arrested." The police come, and if, somebody says, "Hey, I wanted them out, and they didn't do what I wanted, so they're trespassing or whatever," and the police arrest the two black men. In the meantime, their friend shows up, a white guy, and he's standing there, and he's like, "Why are you arresting these guys?" And the police are like, blah, 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 you can't hear them, but you can hear the guy say, he's like, "What is this? Like, the two black guys are waiting for the white guy, and since they're by themselves and the white guy's not with them, you're just gonna arrest them? It doesn't make any sense." And he gets kind of upset about it. That video goes viral, and it has created a tremendous crisis communication situation for Starbucks. The CEO, what's his name, Johnson, I believe, he was on all of the news shows last night, And he started crying on Don Lemon, actually, about how Starbucks is all about the human experience. So they're going to close 8,000 company-owned Starbucks on May 29th for a sort of sensitivity or awareness training about bias or hidden bias. And that brought up discussion. It's interesting. Remember when Mike Suggs called in here one time? He is one of the vice presidents at NIPSCO. I think he's a vice president. Don't hold me on that. I do this all without notes. So if there's inaccuracies once in a while, just text them to Ryan on 219-845-1100. But anyway, Suggs, he's driving into his house in Maryville in, I don't know, maybe the 80s, late 70s. And he tells about just being pulled over by the police and basically profiled as a black man and hassled. I don't know if he was arrested, but completely, just profiled as a black guy. Of course, he was a professional at the time. I think Suggs is out of Elkhart, and he'd moved to the region. And we talked about the bias toward black men, and black men evidently, hey, what's up, thanks for beeping, are well aware of this. And as a white guy, Verley pointed out that I probably don't think about it that much, living the life of white privilege is how she puts it. I just think it's just like living a life, but I understand it. And the issue is, would that have been handled differently if it was two white guys sitting at that table in Philadelphia? Me thinks so. And Starbucks is facing all sorts of criticism, but they are dealing with it. The CEO has been in Philadelphia, and he cried on Don Lemon. That usually gets you some points with the American public. What is not getting points with the American public are Michael Cohen, Donald Trump, Stormy Daniels. Well, what's going on? What's the latest turn of events in the ongoing drama known as the Donald Trump presidency? Well, as you guys well know, hey, what's going on? Thanks for beeping. I'm standing out here, by the way. It is the weirdest look. You guys can't see it, but right behind me is a beautiful sunrise. And it's one of the reasons, I think, Jimmy, can you take the movable camera? And I'm going to move out here and see if we can't get a little more panoramic look of this beautiful purple-orange sunrise. But just to the south, you can see this massive front moving in from kind of the southwest, and we are in for a winter storm. Big truck coming here. Let's just say hi to the big truck. Big truck! And it is coming our way, and I can see the huge front covering a whole half of the sky, but behind me it's purple-orange. It is a rather graphic, kind of stark look to what's going on here. Speaking of stark, Stormy Daniels is a porn star. Evidently, she had a tryst, or she says she did, with Donald Trump. He denies it. But somebody by the name of Dave Dennison. Hey, are you Dave Dennison? Are you Dave Dennison? Big truck. Paid her 130 grand. That is a very important number today, because now there is a reward for $131,000 for anyone who can identify the, hey, what's up? Thanks for beeping. You too, way to beep. Have a good day at work. And the lawyer for Stormy Daniels, if anybody takes down a president's, everybody, you too, thanks for beeping. I got it. Thank you. I appreciate it. This guy's amazing. I mean, at first I thought he was like some sort of flim-flam man, but man, he's consistent. They are offering a $131,000 reward for the identity of the person whom they say threatened Stormy Daniels, well, I don't know, 10 years ago. Stormy was evidently putting her baby into her car, and this guy came up and said, you know, basically tried to intimidate her and said, hey, you know, quit talking about the Donald Trump thing, and, you know, you got a new baby there. It'd be a shame if anything happened to her. That's a pretty deep, charge against anybody who may have done that. You don't threaten the life of a baby. and Stormy Daniels sat down with some sort of professional sketch artist, and there's a sketch out there that is very detailed. Must have taken them a long time if you've ever done a sketch. It's like, no, you need more chin. Oh, the eyes are wrong. I mean, it takes forever. And they have this sketch, and they've put it out there, and they said, you know what? It's not 100, it's not 10, it's not 20, it's not 100, it's not 130, what Stormy Daniels was paid, she agrees she was, to keep shut up about Donald Trump. But Dave Dennison didn't sign the papers. So is it valid or not? I don't know. They've offered to give the money back. But instead, they're going to give a reward for $131,000. Hey, what's up? Big truck. Johnson, Pipe and Supply. How's your Johnson? I don't know, if you look at this sketch, it is so detailed. And then they're charging that, hey, you know what, it had to be an associate of Michael Cohen. So you got to believe if it really happened to Stormy Daniels, that someone's going to recognize this sketch and take the $131,000. As the world turns at the very highest level, it's not the Mueller investigation. Everybody kind of knows that that's going to go along, and then at some point, something's going to happen. A couple of people lose their jobs, and then it'll be a problem, and there might be some sort of constitutional crisis. But is it possible that there would be some sort of deal cut and the president could go on? I think we all kind of, hey, big truck, thanks for beeping. But it is the Stormy Daniels controversy that just seems to have explosion written all over it. And I don't know why, and that's why I'm doing these little segments in the morning. One of the reasons is that I think something big is going to happen in America, good or bad. It could be good. And I also think that a lot of you folks that are watching and listening here locally are kind of turned off by everything that's going on in America. It's too much. And then if you listen to people give you the news, it's like, blah, 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 blah. Everything's frantic. Hey, good to see you. Have a good day at work. A lot of beepers today. I'm a beeper, you're a beeper, beep, beep, beep. And so I just want to talk about it. I think there's just a lot of stuff that pertains to how we live our lives here and drive up and down Indianapolis Boulevard on the way to work. So I'm doing these JED in America segments. I hope you like them. I'm going to go in and do my radio show now, and we're going to do that, and it's called JED in the Region. I've got a number of people that will be coming in today. Yesterday we had St. Mary's broadcasting students, about a dozen of them from St. Mary's School in Crown Point. They sat in the studio with me, and I want to thank Tom Ruiz and teacher Pagoric. They brought these kids in, and they stole the show yesterday. If you want to see what it's like for young people to kind of be in awe of radio, which is kind of cool, although this isn't only radio, it's radio and streaming video. And you can watch that, and they were funny. They stole the show. I always think I'm the funny one. That wasn't even close. I was the 13th funniest person in the studio yesterday with those 12 kids in there. And I want to say personally thank you to those guys. They lit up that whole day for all of us, and you know, way to go. All right, guys, I'm going to go inside. Jim Diedlow, AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM here in Hammond, Indiana, also on the TuneIn app in audio. You can also watch in video on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, the voice and face of the region. Click!